Chief Keef's influence should not be understated. Unfortunately, it almost always is. The near-veteran Chicago rapper paved the way for more rappers than you can count on two hands, yet he still isn't considered anything more than a goofy mixtape rapper who's fallen past his prime. Sure, there are many writers, fans, and critics who give Keef his fair shake. He still isn't given his due credit by the public at large. The influence of Chief Keef is far-reaching and has affected an entire lane of rappers who enjoy massive cultural success today. Artists like Lil Pump, Playboi Carti, Lil Uzi Vert, and many more are essentially building their fortune on the back of a sound that Chief Keef created back in 2012. From the disconnected staccato flows and production style of Lil Pump and Smoke Perp, to the spacey and melodic auto-tune singing that Carti and Uzi practice, Keef's influence spans across stylistic borders. In this video, we will show you how Chief Keef influenced an entire generation of rappers and how his life ended up tragically. Chief Keef's background. On August 15, 1995, Keith Farrell Cozart was born in Chicago, Illinois, to his mother Lolita Carter, who was just 15 years old at the time. Lolita was unmarried to Keith's father, Alfonso Cozart, and relied heavily on her own mother's support to raise young Keith. A fascinating fact about Cozart is that he got his name from his late uncle, Keith Carter, whom he greatly admired. Later on, he would adopt the rap name Big Keef as a tribute to his uncle. Displaying artistic talents from a young age, Cozart frequently used his mother's karaoke machine and cassette tapes to record himself performing songs. During his educational journey, Cozart attended Dulles Elementary School and the Banner School, which specifically caters to students who face difficulties learning in a conventional school environment. He later enrolled at Dyett High School, but eventually dropped out to pursue his music career. Residing in the Washington Park neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, Keith, known as a member of the Black Disciple Street Gang, found himself entangled with the law on multiple occasions. His first encounter with legal trouble occurred on January 27, 2011, when he was charged with drug manufacturing and distribution. However, due to his minor status at just 15 years old, he was only charged with a Class X felony and put under house arrest. During this time, Keith utilized his confinement to work on his music and released two mixtapes titled The Glory Road and Bang, which quickly gained attention from the local community. Despite being on house arrest, Keith's legal issues persisted as he faced another arrest, this time for possessing a firearm and pointing it at a Chicago police officer. Once again, he was placed under house arrest. Throughout these challenges, Keith continued honing his musical skills and shared his work on YouTube, gaining some attention. However, it was his single I Don't Like that truly catapulted him to fame, becoming a massive hit and being hailed as a perfect Chicago anthem. Many critics still regard it as his best song to date. As his star rose, Kanye West, a fellow Chicago hip-hop artist, took notice of Keith's single and created a remix featuring artists like Jadakiss, Pusha T, and Big Sean. This move sparked a fierce bidding war among record labels, all vying to sign the rising star, Chief Keef. Bidding war and early work. During the summer of 2012, Cozart's musical output seemed to slow down, but it was for a good reason. Several record labels were in a bidding war to sign the young artist. After considering his options, Keith signed a lucrative deal with Interscope Records in Santa Monica, worth $6 million for 3 albums. He also received a $400,000 advance to start his own label called Glory Boys Entertainment, GBE. On December 18, 2012, Cozart released his debut album, Finally Rich, which featured prominent artists like 50 Cent, French Montana, Young Jeezy, Rick Ross, Wiz Khalifa, and fellow GBE artist Lil Reese. Although the album produced another hit single, Love Sosa, it didn't perform exceptionally well commercially, reaching only 29 on the Billboard 200 and selling 152,000 copies 3 months after its release. An interesting fact is that Finally Rich would later be certified gold by the RIAA in the summer of 2018 for selling over 500,000 copies. Despite the album's reception, Cozart garnered praise for his emotional performance on Kanye West's song Hold My Liquor. He also signed with rapper Gucci Mane's record label, 1017 Brick Squad Records. Seeking to further advance his career, Cozart released his next mixtape, Bang PT2, a sequel to his earlier mixtape, along with a new one titled Almighty Sosa. However, these projects received mixed to negative reviews, with critics arguing that they felt lazy and not up to his best work. Cozart later revealed in an interview that the negative reviews were influenced by his lean addiction at the time. More trouble, even more trouble. It is very common in the entertainment industry that with much fortune and fame comes usually two things: a toxic relationship with drugs and a run-in or two with the law. Unfortunately for Cozart, he already had a strong history with both, and more money would only lead to more problems as he navigated through the success his talents brought him. On September 5, 20112, it was announced Cozart was under investigation for the shooting of Joseph Coleman, also known as Lil Jojo. The investigation was started after it was uncovered the two had been feuding, and Cozart posted a video mocking his death. Coleman's mother even went on record claiming that Cozart paid to have her son killed. On October 17, 2012, prosecutors demanded Cozart be locked up as he violated his parole when a video was posted of him discharging a firearm at a shooting range, violating his parole. They would also try to use the fact that Cozart changing his address without notifying his parole officer also warranted lockup, but Cook County Judge Carl Anthony would deny their demands. He seemed to escape incarceration until January 15, 2013, when a juvenile court judge overturned the ruling, stating the shooting range was indeed a parole violation, sentencing him to 2 months in the juvenile detention facility. If this wasn't enough, while serving time, he was sued by Team Major, a Washington, D.C. promotion company, for $75,000 and would be forced to pay them $230,019 shortly after. Upon release from the juvenile detention facility, Cozart would be arrested on May 20, 2013 for drug possession outside a DeKalb County hotel, and 8 days later was arrested again for doing 110 mph in a 55 mph zone. He pleaded guilty to the speeding charges, paying a $531 fine along with serving 18 months of probation, 60 hours of community service, and being forced to undergo random drug tests. On October 24, 2013, Cozart violated his parole, testing positive on a drug test, sending him once again to lock up, this time for 20 days. He would be released early for good behavior, but would return once again on November 6th for violating his parole again. Cozart took a hiatus from law enforcement, only to return in action March 5, 2014, in the form of a DUI in his home state of Illinois with a suspended license to go along. A longer hiatus would ensue until January 2017, when he was arrested for allegedly beating up and robbing music producer Ramsey the Great. The charges were dropped for lack of evidence, but he returned in June for drug possession. In 2019, he would plead no contest and be given a suspended sentence. Downfall of Chief Keef. Now that we covered the rise of Chief Keef and his relationship with the judicial branch, we can finally go into the fall of Chief Keef. Shortly after his debut album, Cozart would learn the trade of music producing and would experiment on himself, assuring fans that he was working on Bang 3. Bang 3 would never materialize, and BFTD 2 Road would be a long one, as Interscope Records would drop Cozart from his deal, having a clause that stated if his debut album didn't sell at least 250,000 copies by March 2014, they could. Despite being dropped, Cozart assured his fans more music would come on the way and kept his promise, dropping 2 mixtapes titled Big Gucci Sosa, along with Back from the Dead 2, to mixed reviews. Even though his sales didn't rise like he wanted, he received high praise from critics for his producing skills, as he had produced 16 out of 20 songs on the Gucci Mane collaboration mixtape. After starting up his own record label, Glory Boys Entertainment, GBE, Roddy Ricch's projects under the label were mainly mixtapes, with only one album titled Nobody, which featured vocals from artists Kanye West and Tado. However, the label's output was relatively limited, and in January 2014, GBE was rebranded as Glow Gang, signaling a new direction. Unfortunately, not much significant music was released under this new name. In 2016, Cozart announced his retirement on Twitter, but later returned to the music scene in March 2017 with the release of a 17-track mixtape titled 2017. From then on, he continued to release more mixtapes and a third album titled Dedication. Since then, he has remained active in the industry and has collaborated with other artists such as Lil Uzi Vert, NBA Youngboy, and Playboi Carti, among many others. In addition to his rapping career, Cozart has showcased his producing skills, with one of his notable works being Lil Uzi Vert's song Chrome Heart Tags on his album Eternal Attack. Despite ups and downs in his career, Cozart has demonstrated his resilience and passion for music. He has not retired since his brief hiatus and continues to contribute to the rap and hip-hop scene with his unique talent and dedication to his craft. Conclusion. When discussing Cozart's career, a fair argument could be made that if it wasn't for his constant run-ins with the law, he could have been a major success. However, there are many rappers who have had constant run-ins with the laws and even been sentenced to prison but have an illustrious career in the music industry. You could also argue that maybe Cozart's talent and music style was more appropriated to his hometown of Chicago and not to many outside of the area, as once he left, he didn't sell much and get the same kind of recognition. Whatever you say and/or agree with, you cannot deny the talent he possessed at such a young age, trailblazing the path for many others to follow and be an inspiration for others. To this day, I Don't Like is still considered the anthem to Chicago and still gets much praise from other rappers and fans.